All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are going on a journey into what is, without a doubt, the most powerful, complex, and important organ you have. We're talking about the human brain, that silent, tireless command center running every single thing you do, think, and feel. So, let me start by asking you a question. When you picture the most powerful, most complex machine on this planet, what pops into your head? Maybe a supercomputer? A rocket? Well, the real answer is actually a lot closer to home. Yep, that's it. That 3-pound universe tucked away inside your head is hands down the most sophisticated piece of machinery we know of. It's the control tower for your entire nervous system, and today, we're going to take a guided tour. Now, you can imagine an organ this important needs some serious protection. And believe me, the brain has it. Before we even get into what it does, let's look at the incredible fortress that keeps it safe from the outside world. It's basically got this 3-layered defense system. First up, you have the hard, bony skull, the cranium. Then, right underneath that, there's a set of membranes called the meninges. And finally, there's a liquid cushion known as cerebrospinal fluid. It's like a high-tech security system, really. Let's zoom in a little on that second layer, the meninges. You can think of these as the brain's own personal bodyguards. It's a trio of membranes that wrap around not just the brain, but the spinal cord too, giving it a really tough, durable shield. And these 3 layers have some pretty cool names. The outermost one is the dura mater, which is Latin for tough mother, and trust me, it is tough. In the middle, you've got this web-like layer called the arachnoid mater. And then, clinging right to the brain's surface is the pia mater, or tender mother, which is a super delicate inner layer. And that final layer of defense? That's the cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. This stuff does 2 critical jobs at once. First, it acts like a shock absorber, letting your brain literally float inside your skull to protect it from bumps. And second, it's a delivery service, bringing in nutrients and washing away waste. Pretty neat, right? Okay, so now we know how the brain is protected. Let's step inside. You see, the brain isn't just one big blob. It's carefully organized into 3 major regions, and each one has its own set of very specific jobs. So here they are. You've got the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. A good way to think about them is as the main continents on our map of the mind. We're going to explore each one, and we'll start with the biggest and most complex of the 3. Our first stop is the forebrain. This is probably the part you picture when you think of the brain. It's home base for all of our higher-level thinking, our personality, basically everything that makes you, you. And the real star of the forebrain is this massive part called the cerebrum. It makes up most of the brain's weight and is split into those famous right and left hemispheres. This is where all the heavy lifting happens. Your thoughts, your memories, your decisions, it all starts here. But it gets even more specialized. The cerebrum itself is divided into 4 main sections, or lobes, each with a different job. For instance, your frontal lobe, right at the front, is your decision-making center, while the occipital lobe at the very back is dedicated to processing everything you see. Now, if we go a little deeper into the forebrain, we find the thalamus. The best way to think of this is like a central relay station for your senses. Pretty much all the information from your eyes, ears, and skin passes through the thalamus before it gets routed to the right part of the cerebrum to be processed. And right below the thalamus, you have its tiny but mighty partner, the hypothalamus. If the thalamus is the relay station, the hypothalamus is your body's command center for regulation. It's like a thermostat, constantly working to keep your temperature, hunger, and thirst in perfect balance, a state we call homeostasis. So, we've covered the part of the brain that does all the conscious thinking. Now let's journey a bit deeper to the parts that run the whole show behind the scenes. We're talking about the midbrain and the hindbrain, the managers of our automatic survival functions. The midbrain is this super important connection point, acting as a bridge between the forebrain and the hindbrain. It's also a major reflex center. You know that feeling when you jump at a sudden loud noise and your head just whips around? Yeah, that's your midbrain taking over. And that brings us to the hindbrain, starting with the cerebellum. Its name actually means little brain, and it's the absolute master of coordination. This little structure is what makes sure your movements are smooth and precise, whether you're just walking across the room or hitting a baseball. Also in the hindbrain, we find the medulla oblongata. You can think of this as the brain's critical life support system. It handles all the essential stuff you never, ever have to think about, like making sure your heart keeps beating and that you keep on breathing. It's pretty important. So these last few parts we've just talked about, the midbrain and parts of the hindbrain, they all come together to form a structure called the brainstem. This is basically the stalk that connects the big brain up top to the spinal cord, and it acts as the main information superhighway to the rest of your body. And the brainstem itself is made of three key parts. You have the midbrain at the top, the medulla at the bottom, and this structure called the pons squished in the middle, which helps relay messages and even plays a role in things like sleep. So we've taken a tour of the brain's defenses and all its major neighborhoods, from the thinking cerebrum down to the automatic brainstem. But let's pull back for a second. Why does all this intricate wiring even matter? What is this thing really doing? Well, it really boils down to this. Your brain is an absolute master of multitasking. It's simultaneously managing two completely different sets of jobs. On one hand, it's handling all your voluntary actions, the things you choose to do. And at the exact same time, it's running all the involuntary background processes that literally keep you alive from one second to the next. At the end of the day, the brain is nothing short of essential for our survival. It's the master coordinator, the central processor, the silent director of every single thing you do, from solving a tough math problem to the simple, unconscious act of taking your next breath. Think about it. Every thought, every memory you cherish, every feeling you have, your entire reality is constructed by this incredible organ. It is by far the most powerful tool you will ever own. So the only real question is, what will you do with it?